Read up on occlusion BFR training. BFR, I assume, is blood flow restriction training. I don't know an awful lot about it. I did a version of blood flow restriction training for a while. Basically, it was more the elevated side of blood flow. So I know the blood flow restricted training, most people is like where they tighten up the blood around the tendons, and so like if you're doing legs, you tighten it up around your knee wraps around your knees, and so that the blood flow goes to your quads and things like that. I've never done that. I have done the elevated blood flow where you do an overhead muscle or whatever it is body part thing on legs, and then you hang your legs overhead. So if you're like doing a vertical leg press, you keep your legs elevated on your rest, or if you're doing a lat pull down, you keep your completely elevated at the top of the lat pull down so that you don't actually let any blood flow down until the very, very end of the last or third or fourth set. I've done that, worked okay. No better than anything else. I'm a big fan of intraset stretching as opposed to that blood flow in between. The blood flow is basically where you hang, or if you're doing a chest, you keep your arms above arms elevated above your heart before, while you're resting, so that the blood goes straight into it then when you drop the body part, but again, not a big fan. I'm a bigger fan of intraset stretching. So like I'm always stretching biceps in between a bicep move, or chest. I'm always pulling back, in between sets of each movement. But that's a personal thing. What do you see as being the best resource for research and studies? Preferably a free provider. To tell you the truth, I don't actually use a lot of the internet sources. When I started building my own knowledge about 15 years ago, it was mostly through magazines and books. And it's funny because it comes back and you do a whole, you do a 360. And then I went on to the whole online buzz where I was using, great resources, bodybuilding.com. It's still really good. Bodybuilding.com used to have amazing forums. They cut off and closed off a lot of them in the last 5 or 6 years. So they're not as good now. But they were phenomenal when I was 20, 21. They gave me so much insight on things like nutrition and training styles and supplementation. They closed a lot of those off. But their articles that are written up there are still very good. It's funny, I've done a complete 360 now. I don't use any articles online apart from some. My sister's a lecturer and doing a PhD in Northumbria in the UK. And she's in that field, so she'll send me articles. But some of them are even over my head. I'm back to books. Majority of the time, it's books I get my knowledge from now. And it's sometimes on YouTube videos and articles online, just through Google searching. And it gets to a stage when you're very knowledgeable in your field that you can read an article and scan it and realize if that's a good article or not, because there'll be certain things, there's misconceptions on everything from fucking supplements to nutrition to training, and if I see one of them like blaringly in the middle of it, I'll click right out of the article and I don't even bother reading it, because I'm like, that's fucking shit, whoever wrote that shit. But otherwise I can get a feel for it. And there's certain people I follow and like. I like Phil Lerney. I listen to Phil's podcast. He's a good guy. I met him in UK a couple of times. I have his book. And there's people like that I listen to. I used to listen to a lot of Elliot Hulse, Paul Check for structural analysis. People like that. I tend to follow people more so than resources. And then the things that they recommend, I tend to use. The same way as a lot of people will sometimes use me as a reference point. But then you use the people that I've recommended and you go see if that's who you like and enjoy listening to. Last one. Oh, will I be at BODYPOWER? Yes, I will. I've got 3 of my boys at BODYPOWER and 1 of my girls. So I've got 3 men's physique guys and 1 bikini girl for BODYPOWER. So I'll be over there all weekend. I'm not going to be at a stand or anything like that. I'm working with my team. But you'll see me knocking around the USN Classic stage. So anyone's over BODYPOWER and you see me, come say hello, come introduce yourself and say hey. And last one, do you have any specific macro ratio wise for cutting? For example, 40, 30, 30. So for example, 40 carbs, 30 fat, 30 protein or whatever order you want to put it in. I'm not a massive macro percentage guy. I'm very much a timings person. Again, the macros work and the percentages do work. And it's an easy way to calculate it. But personally, I don't follow it. For me, for clients, I'm a little bit stricter with clients. I know exactly what's going into their body. But for me, I'm a little bit looser on it. I tend to work through the timings. And my calories and ratios are very dependent on what I've done that day. So if I've gone in and I've done an absolute brutal leg session, my carbs are going to be higher that day. I don't even track them in the off season. I know it's, again, the questions for me, it's different for clients. I know exactly what's going into my clients. I always joke with my girl clients that, that I'll know, but by the time they come up to their show, I'll know everything from their fucking carbs on a Thursday to their menstrual cycle, because I need to know what's going on in their body for hormones and things like that. The same with my guys. I know everything that's going into their body in terms of supplements, what they're doing in training and nutrition wise and timings and everything. But for me personally, I track it a little bit better in prep. Again, I do most of my own stuff in prep and I track it, but again, it's very dependent on what I've done that day. For example, if I double up on a day, I'm going to have my carbs are going to be higher. And I tend to go by mirror and go by feel. If I'm getting and not coming in on time, I'll start dropping carbs and fats and calories from places, but it's normally high protein. My protein's really high. It's always in and around the 300 gram a day mark, which is probably too high. So this is from society standards, but the reality is I've eaten that amount of protein since I was 15. So to not eat that now, my body gets hungry if I don't have that amount of protein. I was a meat eater growing up. I grew up on a farm in the west of Ireland. We had lamb, we had chicken, that was what we ate. It was just meat and potatoes. So I'm a meat guy, and my carb protein's always really high, and then my other two, fats and carbs, just fluctuate depending on the day. I don't take in an awful lot of carbohydrates unless I'm doubling up and training or I've done CrossFit style workouts. I'll just play it by feel, and most of my carbs come from oats anyway because it's my favorite source. Again, I don't run as well on carbs as I do on fat. Things like almond butter, olive oil, flaxseed oil, MCT oil, oily fish. My fat sources come from that because my body just runs better on it. So I hope this helps. Loads of nutrition stuff in this, so hopefully the Q&A was resourceful for you guys. If you have any comments, I'll be replying for the next 24 hours. And if you think this whole Q&A will benefit anybody, please tag them and comment down below. And please like and share the page.